guys. I'm going to go ahead and start lesson 2 for social studies. We are listening we're studying culture through the arts, and I'm going to be reading a couple of paragraphs and going over some questions that you have to answer. Remember, you have to answer 6 questions for the social studies. I'm going to go ahead and read, and we're going to do a little discussion, and I'm going to have here Maya talk with me and discuss some things with me. So let's go ahead and get started. It says you can learn many things about a culture from the art that people create. Most people think of the arts as painting and sculptures, but the arts can also include songs, poems, stories, and dances. Songs, poems, and culture. People write songs and poetry for many reasons. Some are about experiences, thoughts, a place, or people. Others tell about important events. Our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, was a poem that Francis Scott Key wrote about a battle in the War of 1812. An anthem is a song of loyalty to a nation. In the song, Key describes how proud he was to see that the American flag was still flying over Fort McHenry. The Americans had not been defeated. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose spread stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. That was the Star-Spangled Banner in 1931. It became the national anthem of the United States. It says Phyllis Wheatley was a young girl who was taken from her homeland in Africa and brought to Boston when she was 8 years old. She was sold to the Wheatley family, who chose to educate her instead of making her a servant. Phyllis wrote poems about many different subjects. Many of her poems were about her Christian faith, slavery, and famous people in her time. Wheatley also wrote about current events at the outbreak of the American Revolution. Wheatley wrote the poem to His Excellency General Washington. Proceed, great chief, with virtue on thy side. Thy every action let the goddess guide. A crown, a mansion, and a throne that shined with gold unfading. Washington, be thine. For number 1, boys and girls, it's asking you, it says write a poem describing a current event in the United States. So right now we're going through a big pandemic. It is called the coronavirus pandemic, and it is something that is happening right now in the United States. So they're asking you to either write a poem or a song of the coronavirus. Maya wrote one. She put there, once was a virus called corona. It made us stay home and not go to school. I was sad. So that was a little poem that she wrote. Okay, let's go on to the next paragraph. Now it's talking about stories and culture. People all over the world tell stories to share their history, their ideas, and what is important to them. Some stories are written while others are spoken. Some stories celebrate the cultural heritage of different groups. Cultural heritage describes the traditions, customs, and artifacts of a cultural group. Some examples of cultural heritage are stories, dance, art, and buildings. Laura Ingalls Wilder was an author who wrote about her family and life during the pioneer days. The Little House books show the harsh conditions that people who settled on the frontier dealt with. Today, the town where Wilder was born hosts a festival that celebrates Wilder and her family. Bill Martin Jr. was an author who wrote hundreds of children's books. Martin did not learn how to read until he was in college. Many of his books helped to teach children. For example, y'all have heard this book, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, teaches the alphabet. Tommy de Paola is an author and an artist. His stories and pictures often show de Paola's cultural heritage. He is half Italian and half Irish. He has written stories about lives and legends from his culture. A legend is a traditional fictional story. In Patrick, patron saint of Ireland, de Paola retells the legend of St. Patrick's making the snakes leave Ireland. And there you can see some pictures. I know they're a little dark, I can't really see them, but there's a picture of Tommy de Paola. He writes many stories that celebrate his cultural heritage. And question number 2, boys and girls, it says, explain why the work of Tommy de Paola is significant to the Irish and Italian communities. So you have to think about what were his what were his stories about? It tells you right there. It says he has written stories about lives and legends from his culture. So that's why they would be significant to the people in Irish and Italian communities. So you can write that down for number 2. A lot of the answers, boys and girls, are in the passage. You just have to read them, and I'm here to help. Can you go stop the timer? To help you. If you have any questions, like I said, please call me. Send me a picture on Dojo of something you don't understand. I'm here to guide you. I don't know, I think it's on Wednesday. Mrs. Gonzalez is going to be doing the social studies mini lesson. From now on, I'll be just doing the reading, and Ms. Cabrera is going to be doing the math. Okay? And Ms. Gonzalez is going to be doing science and social studies. All right, let's look at the next part. This is the last part I'm going to read, and I'm going to let Ms. Gonzalez do the last page of the lesson so she can do that with y'all on Wednesday. Sculptures, painting, and culture. Looking at art is another way to learn about different cultures. Some artists use natural resources that are important to their culture to create works of art. In the mountains of South Dakota, artists and workers are carving a sculpture of the Lakota leader Crazy Horse into the rock. Sculpture, I don't know how to say that word, guys, because it is hard to say. Korzak Sokoliwoski designed this memorial and also assisted with Mount Rushmore. Some artists show details of their culture in paintings. Carmen Lomas Garza is a Chicana native artist who was born in South Texas. Garza creates paintings and other works of art that celebrate the Mexican-American culture and experience and illustrate daily life. Kadir Nelson is an American artist. Some of his paintings are of historical figures. He has painted images of Nelson Mandela, Frederick Douglass, and Dr. Martin Luther King. In 2008, Nelson published his first children's book called We Are the Ship, the story of Negro League Baseball. And there they show you pictures, boys and girls. I know it's hard to see. I know it's very dark. So I'm going to go ahead and read number 3. It says, draw conclusions. It says, explain why the paintings of Kadir Nelson are significant to both the African American and international communities. So what did Kadir Nelson do? It tells you right there. It says, Kadir Nelson is an American artist. Some of his paintings are of historical figures. He has painted images of Nelson Mandela, Frederick Douglass, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 2008, Nelson published his first children's book called We Are the Ship. Okay, so it talks about a lot of historical figures. So that was what we had written. Some of his paintings are of historical figures, and they're very important to Americans' history. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. You already have an idea of how to answer questions 1, 2, and 3. We have done some discussion, and we have read, and we have learned about culture through the arts. Remember that art is not only sculptures and paintings. It could also be songs, poems, stories, and dances. And I'm going to leave you with a question you can discuss with your family. It says, describe what you see in this painting that shows farm life long ago. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but if you can talk to your parents and ask them, well, you know, how was farm life long ago? What did they use to farm back in the day? That is something that you can discuss with your parents. Have a good night. See you Wednesday. Bye.